We're now in Dcad Lesson 16B, dealing with 3D, and we're going to be dealing with 3D roof design. And so the first thing I'm going to do is open up a border drawing. Go into Open, and we're already in Borders. I'm going to scroll down to 2436-4 and double-click that to open it up. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, and I want to put that in our D0614 folder. And I think what I'm going to do is just call it D0614 3D Roof and save it. Okay, so I'm going to go to Layers, and I'm in Layer 1 already, so I'm good there. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a long rectangle for the primary portion of the house. It's going to be like 64 feet long. I think I'll make it like 28 feet deep. So hitting 3D box command, and down here somewhere I'm going to just set a point, and I'm going to gravity move to that point with my comma and hit point relative. I'm going to go 64 along the x-axis and 28 along the y-axis, and hit enter. And there's my rectangle. I'm going to just right click and hit M for move and bring it down so it's somewhat centered on my borders and stuff. Hit L for layers and hide all. So, okay, I'm going to have a 24-foot garage on this side of it, so I'm just going to do a quick and dirty rectangle there. Hit the 2D box command, and it's going to project out from the house 10 feet. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go minus 24 feet for the width of the garage along the x-axis, and then minus 10 feet on the y. And there's my garage projection. I'm going to have a front porch that's going to be 8 feet wide. It's going to project out 6 feet would be good. So I'm going to do a little rectangle there. Again, 2D box command, gravity, or just go ahead and set a point. Right click, and then I'm going to hit the point relative, and I want to go minus 8, and I'm going to bring it out. I'll give them a nice porch, minus 6. Okay, so that's going to be my porch. Also, I'm going to have it project in a couple of feet. So I'm going to go ahead and select it right now and take those 2 points in 2 feet. So right click on them and go back to point relative, 0 on the y, and then 2 on the x, 0 on the x, 2 on the y. And so there's going to be my porch inset. If I hit Control R, you'll see there's still a line going through it. And I'm going to also have a master bedroom off the back. And I think I'm going to make that fairly nice when I'm going to have it project out. Let's take it at least 16 feet wide, and I'm going to take it out about 14 feet. So I'm going to hit the 2D box command again and just right click. And I'm going to go 16 on the X, and I think 14. I think 14 on the Y will give them a decent. Okay, so that is basically the outline of the house. I also am going to want to have a porch column here because we're going to have a beam out here for our porch. So I'm going to make that an 8 by 8, and that's going to be just right click here to the corner and go point relative, and that'll be 7.5 inches on the X and 7.5 inches on the Y. Now I'm going to zoom up on that because the reality of it is that this is going to be our porch inset. So what's going to happen is that this beam will actually need to project out another 7.5 inches this way, so it actually lands on the wall. So first I'm going to do is actually turn all of these guys red, except for the hold down shift and except for the post. And I'm going to turn all these guys red, select red, hit apply. So now I'm going to hit V for vector. I want my new vector lines to be black. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go V and right click here and hit H for orthogonal mode, because it's going to be nice straight lines. And go around just the outside of the perimeter here, and inside here, and here, and then here I'm going to have to just get here and hit K, and then come on over to there. Okay, and then here's where I'm going to want to have my, I'm going to want to move my post over 5.5 inches for the width of the beams here. So I'm going to just right click on that post, gravity move using the comma, and hit M, and point relative minus 5.5 inches, tab 0, and move it. Okay, so now this, what I'm going to do with this little guy is I'm just going to hit B. Let me zoom up on this area so I can see better. Hit B for vector and right click here. I'm still in orthogonal mode. Come down to this corner and this corner. And I'm going to select that now and call it my info box. It's selected the red line and I want the black line. So I'm going to hit enter again. And now I have my black inside of beam, or in part of the inside of the beam line. And so what I'm going to do is, it's actually the easiest way to do this is just to go like so. Hit escape. I'm just going to come over 5.5 inches. Hit V for vector, gravity move, minus 5.5 inches. I'm in orthogonal mode. Come to this corner and this corner, and I'm good. Okay, so I can select this point now, and that's the red. I can go ahead and delete that. I'm going to get rid of all of my red, actually. This inside beam line I can get rid of right now. No longer need it. So that means so that way our beam will come over and land on the actual wall. So I need to get rid of all my red lines. So in order to do that, I'm going to just hit Control W, get things down there, and maybe scroll out a little bit further using the scroll button and hit Control. And I'm going to use the selection filter, click on the red, add it, go to select, and then remove it, hit close, and hit delete. So now all I have is my black wall lines in layer 1. I'm still in orthogonal mode, by the way. So now I'm going to draw the roof plan. And I think what we're going to do is have gables here, a secondary gable over the garage, and a primary that's going to include the porch, and a gable at this end, a gable at this end, and I think I'll do a hip on the back just for fun. Okay, so I'm going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to scroll down. Actually, I just want use the layer filter. I want active or named layers only. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go down to layer 30 and make that my primary active layer. Click OK, and I'm going to make my roof plan green, so that way it'll show up a little differently from other colors I'll be using. So I'm just going to click on green, and so I'm going to click on this perimeter here and hit F2. And I'm still in orthogonal mode, so I'm going to hit H to go out of that. And tab, it's already set it too. Wow. So selected entities only. I want to do a parallel, and just come on straight on out and click on it and hit escape. These two lines need to trim to each other, so I'm going to hit Shift D. And then I need to also do one for the beam overhang here, or the overhang for the beams on the entry. So I'm going to select it, hit F2, and it's still at 2 feet, and just pull it on out and click, left click, and we're good. So all this little stuff in here we need to get rid of. So I'm going to, I'm just going to use the select the line, go up to it, and hold down just the Control and turn to scissors, and I left click and it cuts the line. So now I can hold Control Shift, and you'll see my cursor turns to a minus, and I just click on each one of these that I want to get rid of. Okay, so those are good. So these two will actually trim to each other, and this one will actually trim to the beam line. So I'm going to hit Shift E and trim these two guys to each other, and hit E to trim this one to the beam line. And so now I'm just checking a few things here, make sure everything's good. 2 feet there, 2 feet there, make sure all my E overhangs are correct. I'm going to hit V for vector, and I want to be in orthogonal mode because I'm going to draw some ridges. H for orthogonal mode, hit Control K to go to the center of my garage. Hit Control K, center of my, I need to hit H again. I'm creating a ridge for my secondary gable there for the garage. And then I'm going to need a larger ridge that because this is going to span all the way over to this other side. So I'm hitting V for vector and just hitting K here and K over here. I'm still in orthogonal mode, doesn't really have to be. And then I'm hitting my scroll button to initiate the command. And so this one I'm hit V for vector and Control K. H for orthogonal mode. I found my ridge. So I'm going to go on up past the midpoint here a ways and hit enter. And so this ridge is going to have to come down. And actually, I'll be trimming this line to this ridge line. So let's hit H to go out of orthogonal mode. Shift E. I'll trim these two to each other. And then I'm going to trim this one because it's actually going to come all the way over to this little ridge here. So I'm going to hit E to trim this one over to this one. Now I can get rid of this reference line here. Just select it and hit delete. And so I need to find my ridge for these two guys here. So I'm just going to hit V for vector and K here, and come over here somewhere and hit K, and hit enter, or hit my scroll button to initiate a command. Hit V for another line, hit Control K, and now I want H for orthogonal mode. I want a nice straight line coming all the way over to this guy, and hit K. And now I want to take this new ridge line and use the extend command and extend it on over past this other line, hit escape, get rid of my reference line, select it, hit delete, and trim this to this line now. E, right there, hit H to go out of orthogonal mode and click there. Okay, so that's my ridge, my primary ridge really. And so, and of course I'm going to have hips here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit V for vector, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to right click on this corner here and go down to the I want the 135 degrees and click on that down here at the bottom. You can see it's coming at the proper angle, and just left click and hit scroll button. And now here V for the other side right here, and here I want 45, and there it is. Click on that, bring it on down past it, set a point, and click the scroll button. Shift E will trim these two to each other. Hit V for vector and bring it on down. Hit an H for orthogonal mode so you have a nice straight line. Bring it on down somewhere about in there, and just left click and then scroll button. So these two guys, I can do this quick and dirty. Just select these two guys here. It's got our both of our hip lines because those are going to be valley lines here. So I'm going to just click on Set Selections Handles. Right click here on and hit H to go out of orthogonal mode. Hit escape, try that again. Right click and hit my scroll button. Now I have a handle right there, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate the lines and right click here. And so there's my valleys, and I can hit E to trim this ridge to this valley. Okay, so now I need valleys for these guys. So I just hit V for vector. And again, I want that to be at a 45, so I'm coming over here and just click on the 45 and bring it on up past stuff here a little bit. Set a point, and then initiate by hitting the scroll button. And so what I'm going to do here is, because I don't really have a good reference point here at this point, I'm going to hit Shift E and just trim these to each other. Now I'm going to right click here and selected my valley, and I'm going to hit the mirror command, which is a slash, and right click there. And so now I have another valley here. You can also see though that these guys are extending past this ridge, so that means that this is going to have a nub coming back in this direction. So I'm going to hit E and trim this to that ridge, E, trim this to that ridge, and now I'm going to hit V for vector, right click here, and I want that to be a 135, so I'm coming back here, and I'm going to hit V for vector and right click on that, and I want this to be a 45, so I'm clicking there and coming on down past things a little bit, setting the point, hitting the scroll button. Now I'm going to hit Shift E and trim these to each other, and hit E and trim this to either one of them. And I have to get rid of this little ridge line through here because it does not continue through. So I'm going to go over here to my trim lines and just hold the left button down and go over here to, and down here on the lower left hand corner down here you can see it's telling you what it is. I'm going to trim the part of a line that lies between two other lines, and And so here it gives you the instructions. Line, the first point is the line to be trimmed, and points 2 and 3 are the intersecting lines you want to trim it between. So I'm just over here anywhere. I'm clicking on the line that I want to trim, and I'm clicking on the 2 lines that I want to trim between. Bingo, there it is. So, and we're still not sure how far this is actually 2 feet, so this line is longer than it really needs to be. So I'm going to select that, right click here, and gravity move to this barge overhang for the primary gable, and then point relative, 0, and then 2. Good. Okay, so Control R. So now we have our outline of our floor plan, outline is all, and our roof plan. So I'm going to save. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole floor stuff there and move that into layer, select it and copy it, make a duplicate of it, and move that into layer 201, which is our 3D layer for the main floor walls. So in order to do that, I'm just going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to scroll up to 1, and just click in that row, and then right click and select highlighted layers, and I just click on that and click OK, and selected all of that, say all of our black stuff there. So I'm going to hit N to duplicate it, and then get near my handle and just right click, and it puts one right on top of it. You can see the existing point still. Pull up my info box, click on the layer portion of the info box, and scroll on down to 201. Oh, too far. There, and put it in that. It disappears because 201 isn't a visible layer at this point in time. Control R, and it'll show you your previous layer. So hit L for layers, and I'm already in layer 30, so I'm just going to right click on that and select highlighted layers and click OK. So now it's selected layer 30, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate that and get near my handle and right click. So again, it's duplicated layer 30. Right over top of it has one right over top of the other, and I'm going over here to my info box, clicking on the layers. I'm going to scroll on down to 230, which is the 3D portion for roof planes. Okay, right there, and Control R, and you'll see it's all still actually there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude my walls. First I'm going to save real quick. So now I'm going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to scroll down to layer 201 and make that current and active, and hit OK. Actually, I'm going to hit hide all. Click OK. And so now I'm going to go into 3D, and I can either one of these 2D or 3D toggle it. So I'm just going to click on one of them, and it turns us into 3D there. I'm going to use my hold Control and use my scroll button to scroll out just a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything except for this beam line. I'll show you why in a second. So I'm going to select this guy, the exterior walls, and our post. Okay, so I'm going to hit X for extrude. And down here it tells you, what you need to, what the points are about. Set points 1 and 2, for the extrusion direction and distance. We also want to make sure that we're in just 1 for extrusion scale. So I'm clicking here. I'm just going to right click now and hit point relative, and I want 0, 0 on the X. I'm going to be coming toward me, and it's going to be 9-foot walls, so they're actually 9 foot 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to hit minus 9 foot 0.75 inches, and then hit enter. Sets the point, hit enter again, and it initiates the command. Okay, so now when I click on this, it makes it a grid. You can see here on the info box, it makes it a grid, but it always leaves the original line when you turn it into a grid like that. So I'm just going to right click on that and hit delete to get rid of it. I just don't want cluttering stuff up right now. So now I'm going to zoom up here over our entry and right click, and it selected the bottom of the post, so I'm going to hit delete on that. Right click again, and there's my beam line for the entry. I'm going to hit M for move and bring it on up here, and right click at the outside of the post and hit escape. Control W, and so now I have my 3D walls extruded and my posts for the entry. So now I can start dealing with the roof plane. So I'm hitting L for layers, and I'm going to scroll on down to layer 230 and make that current active. And click OK, and then you can see that it brings up our green roof plan layers, but they're actually in 230. We're going to be using those for roof plans, to model our roof plans. I'm going to make my roof planes in blue. So I've changed my color to blue, and so I'm going to start with my primary roof plane here. And so what I'm going to do is, our roof is going to be at a 6 and 12, but the first thing I need to do is I need to take all of my roof information here and pull it up to where it needs to, at the height it needs to be. So I'm going to use my selection filter over here and click on that. I'm going to click on green and add it. And so now I'm just going to use a selection rectangle to select everything that's green. Okay, and now I can go ahead and remove it from the selection filter and close it. And I'm going to hit M. I'm going to get over here near my selection handle and gravity move using the comma and hit M. And now I'm going to go to point relative, hit, and since I already have my 9.0625, which is 9.75 of an inch, I can just hit enter. And it pulls all up so that it's even with the plate heights. So, but because of 6 and 12 pitch, our eave line is actually going to be with a 2-foot overhang is actually going to be 1 foot below the plate line. So I'm going to get near my handle again and gravity move using the comma, hit M again, and this time I'm going 0 on the X, 0 on the Y, down to Z, and I'm going 1. Okay, so it's 1 foot on the plate line. Now, actually, the trusses will have a quarter inch butt cut, but I'm not going to deal with that right now because we can make the adjustment for that a little bit later. So now I can start on my roof plane. So the first one I'm going to do is this guy, this primary one back here on the back. So I'm hitting P, and I'm going right clicking here. And then I'm hitting H for orthogonal mode and coming all the way over to the side here and hitting K. And now I'm hitting H to go out of orthogonal mode and gravity move. And I should have zeros up there in my DX, DY, and DZ. And I'm going to hit point relative on 0. On X, Y, I want minus 24. It's a 6 and 12, so I'm just going to go big. And it would be, on the Z, it would be minus 12 because it's coming toward me. So that's a 6 and 12, or 12 and 24, or whatever. So gravity move to my original point there, and gravity move using the comma. Go back, click for point relative, and my distance is already there. So I just hit enter, and then hit enter again. And there's my plane. So I'm also going to have one run along here. So I'm just going to select this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a handle, and I'm going to set a handle using what do I want to use? I think I'll use this ridge line here, and right click on that and hit the scroll button, and now I'm going to mirror it. And right now I'm in X axis. I want it in the Y axis because I'm mirroring vertically. So then I right click on my plane here. On my handle, right click, and it sets it there. And I just want to make sure I'm going to hit escape, hit vector, just to see if I have any differences in these points here. And they all look fine, all zeros. Okay. So now I'm going to find the intersection of these two planes. So I'm going to turn my color to red so it'll show up better. And now I'm going to use surface intersection. Click on that. Click on one plane. Click on the other, and there's my surface intersection. So now I'm going to click on this plane, and I'm going to click on both of these points. Select them. They turn dark blue. Right click on this one and pull it down, and right click to my surface intersection line, hit escape. I'm going to get rid of that red line. You can't see it right now, but I'm getting rid of it. So you can see it just turned red there. Hit delete. And now this other plane I want to bring down to that ridge too. So I'm going to select both of these points. They turn dark blue. Right click on them, and then right click on this ridge. So that's all looking good at this point. Let me check a couple things here real quick just to make sure I'm 2 foot everywhere. Everything looks good. Okay, so now I need to deal with the planes for these gables. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first and foremost, I'm going to start with a plane for this secondary gable here. And in order to do that, I'm just going to hit P for plane and right click here and just bring it on up a ways. H for orthogonal mode on up weight doesn't matter. I just want to get past the main ridge there and set a point. And H to go out of orthogonal mode. And now gravity move and I'm zeros there. So now I'm going to hit point relative and I want to go minus 24 on the X, 0 on the Y, and still want to be minus 12 on the Z. Okay, so that's a big plane there. I'm going to gravity move to this corner using a comma and hit point relative and leave all those values in there and hit enter. And oops, wrong color though. I need to turn back to blue. Go back to blue. I'll select it and hit the apply to selection. There, that's turned blue. So now this is a big honking plane that I have here, and it's really bigger than I need, but that's okay. I'm going to use this plane again, and so I'm going to right click here, and it selected it. It might have selected the green one. You just never know. You just hit enter again until it toggles on to the one you want. Now I'm going to hit the mirror command. This time I want to mirror in the x-axis, so I'm hitting that radio button, and this time I'm right clicking here at the porch overhang. Okay, so now we have these two planes going. So I'm going to see where those guys intersect. So I'm going to turn my color to red so I can see that, and go to surface intersection and just click on both of those. So I can click on this one now and select both of those points and bring them down to my red line and right click. And I'm leaving my red line for the moment. Now I'm clicking on this one and selecting both of these points and right clicking on it and bringing it down to where that red line terminated. And so now I have my ridge where the primary gable is going to be. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have another smaller gable underneath here. So I think I'm just going to use this one here for now. So I can right click on it. It did not select it. It's looking green here. I'm hit enter so it'll toggle to the next one, and there it is. So I'm going to hit N to duplicate. Hit Z. That didn't work. Hit N. Try that again. Hit N and right click. Okay, so now I need to see where these two intersect. I'm still red. Actually, I can click on this one and find my red again. There it is, and hit delete so I don't get too much red down there. I want to see where these two intersect. So surface intersection and right click on those. And so now this one, I can just bring it on down to that point, to that red line. And this one, I can select those 2 points, bring them down to that ridge, and I can just click and hit enter till I get the red line, and then hit delete to get rid of it. Control R. Okay, so now is probably a good time to get rid of the walls on account of they just add confusion. So I'm just going to hide them. And so what that means is I'm just going to down here and hit hide all. Click OK. So I'm still red here, and that's a good thing. So what I need to do is this portion, this little plane here is really a small plane, but it's big right now, but I need to make it small. So I'm going to select these points, right click at the ridge here, orthogonal mode, and come on down a ways, just so it's not clogging things up and confusing things. Control R to regenerate. So now I want to see where these planes are actually interfacing with each other. So and the other thing is that this plane needs to continue on up to this guy. So it's just not near big enough. So the easy way to do that is I need to have a point right here where this plane intersects with it. So I've selected it, and when the cursor turns to a plus, you just click and it adds a point. And so then I just right click to this point right here. Now this isn't the right location yet because it's really going to be relative to the walls. It's really going to be 2 feet 2 feet in from this point here. So, and I'll deal with that in a little bit. Actually, maybe it might be a good idea to go ahead and deal with that now. So, so what I have here from this distance to this distance, V for vector, is orthogonal mode. It is 4 feet on the y-axis. When I go there, gravity move using the comma, it's showing 4 feet, and I have 2 feet more, you know, because of the evo overhang. So it's 6 feet total. So really, all I need to do is select this plane and this plane, because I want to get all of these points here, and right-click, bring it on down here, gravity move using the comma, and point relative. 0 on the x, and I want 6 on the y, and 0 on the z. So that should be where those guys go, I believe. And I've already set a point here. So actually this point here needs to come back down 2 feet because of our evo overhang. So I'm going to just get on it right now, right-click to it, hit point relative, and go to my y and -2. Okay, so now all I have to do is this is really pretty straightforward at this point, is to add another point, and it turns plus to here, and right click, and then just bring this guy. It doesn't really matter over here, it's fine. Even though it's looking squirrely here, we're going to still see where these things actually interface with the roof. So I'm hitting escape and moving this out of the way. I'm hitting Control Shift W so I can see all of everything. Okay, so now I want to see where this plane interfaces with this plane, and this plane interfaces with that plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use surface intersection, click on it, and I'm red for color, so I'm going to click on this plane and then this plane, and there's my valley. And so now I'm going to do the same thing, surface intersect, and I want to click on this plane and this plane, and there's my valley. So, and this actually, again, it comes back because we're having a, for lack of a better term, a nub. Okay, and so really the easy way to do that is I'm going to go blue here just so I don't get too confused, and I'm going to go to this ridge and create another little plane coming back toward me a little ways, and so I'm hitting P for plane, and I'm hitting K just to snap to the ridge. Oops. P for plane, K, and then coming down past my nub there and hitting another one, K, and then I want to go to point relative, and I want the Y, I want minus, since 6 and 12, 6 and 3 would be fine, so I'm going -6, and then on the Z I want -3, and going back to my other original point there, and gravity moving, use the comma, and leave my 6 and 3 in, and just do that. And so you can see it there. And down here you can see the continuation of that plane. So that looks all looks good. So now I want to see where these two planes intersect with that guy. So I'm going to do a surface intersection again, and click on this plane and then this plane, and here it comes back. That should have been red. Let me go back to red here. Click on that and hit apply to selection. There we go. And now I want to see the surface intersection on this other one here, where this plane connects with this plane. Okay, so this plane here is actually going to terminate right here. We'll just draw another one over here. So to make life simple, I'm going to deal with that right now, and I'm just going to take this point and just set it over here, and this point and set it over here. And so that takes care of that plane. And so now I'm going to take care of this plane, and I'm going to create my little nub here. So I'm going to just come here, and you see my cursor turn to a plus, and then I'm going to right click on the red line there, you know, where the red line terminates into our valley. And over here I'm going to click my cursor turn to a plus, and I'm right clicking on the red line there. And now in the middle I'm going to do a plus, you know, my cursor to a plus, click near that point, and right click up here on the nub. So that takes care of that. So so far so good, I think. this plane here will now right click here and bring it right on down to the ridge. This right click here and bring this on down to, and I mean, go to orthogonal mode so it's nice and straight. Make sure I'm straight. And H to go out of it, and then click here somewhere and come over to here. And now this plane, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to right click here and bring it to our ridge. Right click here, bring it down to the end of our valley, and then turn to a plus here and click this and bring it right up to here and click. Okay, so we have those planes, zip, boom, bang. And those I think are all looking correct at this point. So what we need to do now is go ahead and deal with our hip roof. And I need to draw this one in here too. So I'm going to turn blue and hit P, and we can get rid of our little nub plane there. We no longer need that. Select it and hit delete. So I do need to create a plane here to continue this primary plane here. So I'm hitting P for plane, right click, and right click. Oops, wrong place. Right click there, and then hit my scroll button. So I have those planes now. So now I want to go ahead and do my hips. So I'm going to hit P for plane, right click, and from there I'm going to come up. Let's see, see if well, yeah, it's only 10 feet, so 12 will be, I'm looking up here at my Z dimension, my Y dimension gravity move, and you see it 10 feet. So 12 and 6 will work for this. So I'm gravity moving to this second point and hitting point relative. I want 0 on the X, minus 12 on the Y, and minus 6 on the Z. And then I'm going back to my first point, gravity move using the comma, and use my same increase and hit enter. So there's that plane, zip, boom, bang. So now I'm going to steal that plane, and it's selected it. I can tell because it's blue in the info box. I'm hitting N to duplicate it, and now I'm going to hit R to rotate it, rotate the selection, and it's going to rotate it on the Z-axis, which is good. So I'm going to hit Tab and 90 degrees, and I'm going to hit M and just right click here. And you can see that I need to come down a little bit further. So I'm going to select these 2 points and right click on this one, H for orthogonal mode, and bring it on down past a little ways. And now that all looks fine. So now H to go out of orthogonal mode. Now I'm going to hit the mirror command, and this time, yes, I'm in X, so I'm going to just right click over here. And so now I have those 2 guys taken care of. So I need to find where these 2 interface, for these 2 surfaces interface. So I'm going to click on the surface interface command and click on both of those. And, oops, it should have been a red line. Go back to red and hit A to apply the selection. So now this guy here, I can select both those points, right click, and then right click to the red line. Click on the hit enter to toggle, hit delete to get rid of my red line. And this one here, select those 2 points and right click, and then right click to the ridge. So those should be good. So now I need to deal with this guy here, and in order to do that, I'm just going to use the surface intersect command. I only need to do it once this time, and I'll show you why. Clicking on surface intersection, click on this guy here, and then this plane. And there it is. So now I can click on that plane, right click here, and bring it over to this point at the ridge. And this one I can hit Control Shift and watch my cursor turn to a minus. And I just left click and it deletes that point. So now I have the end of my hip, but I still have to adjust these guys to it. So I can click on this one and just right click, and it brings it down. Now I can click on this one and right click, and right click. So now I have my hip, but I still need to deal with my valleys to see where they intersect with this main roof plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on surface intersect again. I'm right click on one plane and then the other one that I want. And again, I only need to do one of them. So I'm just going to click on this plane and right click here and stay in orthogonal mode and bring it on down, and then right here and bring it on down. And hit H to go out of orthogonal mode, and take this guy and right click here and then right click here. Okay, now I can get rid of my red line if it'll select the right one. There we go. Hit delete. Okay, so now we have all of our roof planes. Zip, boom, bang, just like that. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure that I'm in pretty good shape here. So I'm going to just click on shading mode, and I'm going to go guard. And I'll also let me click OK. Yeah, that looks like a roof. I still see red lines, so I'm going to get rid of those guys. But I'm going to get rid of the green also because I no longer need those. So I'm going to go back into wireframe mode. Okay, I'm going to go over here to selection filter, and I want red I want to add, and the darker blue I want to add, and not darker blue. Let me remove that one. Remove. I want green. Add. Okay, so now it'll only select the red and green lines, and so there they are. And I hit delete, and they're gone. So I still need this plane needs to cut off here. I mean, it's okay. It could be like the overframing. I'm going to remove all here and hit close. But just, to make it really nice, we'll go ahead and set a point here and then set a point up here. And that makes our roof nice. Okay, so now we have to deal with gable walls. And to deal with gable walls, it's really pretty straightforward. I'm going to just call up the walls, hit L for layers, and scroll up to 201 and make that current active and click OK. And so really all I'm going to do is just set planes above these existing walls so we can see how they interface. So hit Z for zoom up on this area, and I'm in 201, so that'll draw my walls nicely. I want them to be black, so I'm hitting P for a plane, and I'm just gonna right click here on that corner and right click on this corner, and then gravity move using the comma. Use point relative. I'm gonna hit Z on it. I'm 0 on the X, 0 on the Y, and I want minus 12. I don't know how high that gable is, but that should do it. Yeah, so I can see over here that it's above it. Gravity move and point relative and hit enter. We're good. Okay, so now I'm going to use this plane over here also. So I'm going to over for my primary gable. So I'm going to right click again. It selects the plane. I'm hitting N to duplicate and right clicking at the top of the post there, selecting that because I need to pull it over to the. Well, maybe I don't. That looks like it's going to be far enough, so that should be good. Okay, so now I want to see where these guys are intersecting things, these two gables here. So I'm going to go back to red, and I'm going to use surface intersect, and right click, and then F3 duplicates the command, right click, and so there's my gables. And I can duplicate the command again, and right click, and then I can right click, or hit F3 again, and then click on this one, and click on this one. So there's where my gables are going to go. So all I need to do now is to select this gable, and I'm going to zoom up here to make sure that should be terminating right at that corner. So Control M to zoom back to the last location. And I'm going to right click here and bring it to the termination of my ridge right here. And this right here, I can hit Control Shift and watch my cursor turn to minus and click on it. It just goes away. Okay, so I got red lines I'm going to have to get rid of, but we'll get rid of those in a minute. So so this guy here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just right clicking, and then this one here, I'm going to right click here. But here we have a phenomena. Control C. This should just actually go here. Let me hit Z for zoom, and this one would actually come out all the way. But what's going to happen here is that this plane is going to interface with this roof line here, this other ridge line here. So really, what's going to happen is that this guy now will go to the terminus of these 2 points here. So let me select my plane again and just right click here and then I would hit Control Z. Actually, I want to point right here for now, and Trying to visualize how this goes. Okay, so this goes right clicks to here, this right clicks to here, and this guy is going to right click over to here at these 2 points. So where these two intersect, I'm just hit V so I can just draw a reference line and go over here to 2 and see if I can actually get an intersection there. There it is. And come over here. So I can just use that for the right click and then the right click. So that's a whatever-ogram. So, and then I'm going to delete that reference line. You're probably wondering how I did that reference line, but basically you can go over here and this will tell you to intersect 2, and so it tells you down in the lower left-hand corner what it really does. It snaps to the intersection of 2 lines or 2 points. So right click on that red line there, and what I'm going to do is I hit Control W. And I still have gables to do out here. So what I'm going to do is I'll get rid of all my red lines at one point. So let me get over here and go back to black and hit P for plane. And this one here, I'm right click. And then I'm going to come over here to this corner and right click. And this time I'm going to go, because it's big, it's going to go 0, 0. Well, maybe 12 is enough. Yeah, it's high enough. And so gravity move over to here and hit it again. Enter. And so I'm also going to need one down at the far end, so I'll just use the same. Well, actually, just hit P and right click and then right click, and I'll just use the same 12 feet. And over here, gravity move. Hit enter. So now I'm going back to red so I can see where, because it's just a quick and easy way to go to these corners. So I'm going to do the surface intersection and click on this and this plane, and then surface intersection again, or F3, which duplicates the command. Right click on this and right click on this plane. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. Hit F3 and right click on this plane and right click on the roof plane, and F3 to duplicate command, right click on this plane and right click on this plane. So now you can see where I have my planes to go to. I'm going to click on the plane, grab this point here and take it to the ridge, and then this point here I'm going to get rid of. Hit Control Shift, turn to a minus sign, click on it, and this one here goes down to here. Okay, that's my gable for that end. Hit escape, select my plane here, and move this one over to the ridge. Get rid of this guy and take this one over to where it intersects, right to there. Okay, so now we have all of our gables, I think. Yeah, it looks like it to me. So what I'm going to do is I need to get rid of those red lines. So I'm going to use my selection filter, click on the red, add, and just do a selection rectangle, and then click remove and close, and you can see it selected all the red lines everywhere, and just hit delete. Control W, and so we're not going to deal with it in this lesson, but let me go ahead and click on the shade, and okay, there's our shade, and we'll see if it'll. Oh, let me hit Q. And in view, we want enable graphic acceleration. Apply. OK. OK, so we'll hit shade again. And click OK. And so now we use our set view by drawing center, and we can kind of scroll around here. And look, that's starting to look like a house. Kind of scary, isn't it? Okay, we got our gables and everything, so I'm going to just hit OK rather than changing the view of it. Go back to wireframe mode, click OK, and I'm going to save my drawing. And so that concludes a 3D roof design in Dcad, and this is Dcad Lesson 16B.